What's up, guys? It's Sean here with the Sean Daily Football Channel. A little bit of a new haircut. Finally done with that long hair. Don't know what I was doing, but here we are. And today I thought I would bring you a little bit of a different kind of video, and we are going to discuss the mismanagement and the mistakes of the largest clubs in Europe, in my opinion. We're going to particularly talk about Barcelona and Juventus, primarily based off because of their meteoric fall that they've had over the last 5 years. Specifically, two years, you can argue. These were two teams who were constant tops of the football world. Both of them, Barcelona was possibly one of the most successful teams from 2008 up until 2016-17. Absolutely one of the most dominant teams in world football, possibly during that period had the greatest team of football of all time during that 2010 through 2012 period. And Juventus, with a imperial grasp over Serie A and the Scudetto, and absolutely dominating that league and in Europe as well, reaching 2 back-to-back Champions League finals. Not winning the final isn't exactly a knock on them, but a credit to how good Real Madrid was during those years. So, and Barcelona were during those years. So, what happened to them, though? What has been the problems? What has caused this? And where are we now? So, Barcelona, we'll start with them. They did sack their manager this year after a series of poor performances and just not getting results. A couple embarrassing performances, truly. Namely, the losses to Benfica, the 3-0 loss to Benfica, the loss to Atleti, very, very poor results in the league. Just not being, obviously the loss of Messi was always going to be huge and was always going to be noticeable. However, the expectations are that this Barcelona team, despite everything, all the problems, still has enough quality to be comfortably third in La Liga. And to be fair, in their defense, the XG does rank them as the third best team in the league based off expected points, right behind Atleti and Real Madrid. So maybe the performances aren't as bad. They might be just getting the negative side of some of these games. However, Xavi has come in, and more than anything else, Barcelona's problems are more behind the scenes than anything else. And this is very common. Problems don't usually arise on the pitch that often that aren't started in the back room. The reason that clubs like Man City, Liverpool, you don't really see that many on-field disasters over the last 5 or 6 years is because the back door, all the things that happen behind the scenes is organized. It's taken care of. They don't need to worry about it. Bayern Munich, you never see anything major happen at Bayern. It's always clean. It's always professional. It's done without anybody talking about it. That hasn't been the case for Barcelona. A lot, and I mean a lot, of mismanagement during the Bartomeu era. Absolute disgusting mismanagement of funds. The absolute waste of money that all pretty much stemmed from the Neymar sale. I'm going to primarily highlight that as I think the true start of the downfall, where you are given 250 million euros to prepare for this. You are given this insane amount of money to prep the future of your club and to build the future of the club. Now, you were given, you obviously knew that this was happening. It wasn't a surprise that Neymar just showed up one day and said, I want out. No, he would have told you weeks in advance. The way they mismanaged this primarily was the purchases that were made during that time. Ever since The Neymar has left. The only signings that you can really give Barcelona any credence for is Frankie de Jong, in my opinion, and Memphis Depay. The series of players that have been taken in and out of the club ever since then, Pjanic, still don't understand that deal. Arda Turan, Paulinho, Vidal, all these players, these bit part players that never actually provided that stability and that class that players like Puyol, like Iniesta, like Xavi, these players were Barcelona through and through. And I get the concept that identity and DNA do cause a problem. And they did go through a bit of an identity crisis where they were trying to recreate this mythical trio of Xavi, Busquets, and Iniesta. But you gotta realize, you gotta move on. That just doesn't happen anymore. You can't just rebuild a legendary midfield out of thin air. You don't know how you built the first one. This is a very common thing. Sir Alex Ferguson, during Manchester United, he went from a midfield of Nicky Butt, Roy Keane, and Paul Scholes, which he won the treble with, and he had to completely change that midfield to go with Owen Hargreaves and Michael Carrick with Paul Scholes, which completely different operation, completely different plan, completely different players. This was not what Barcelona were able to do. Their signings, the signing of Dembele and Coutinho, were massive mistakes for the prices that they paid for them. Obviously, neither of those players were actually worth the amount of money paid to them. The Neymar signing just blew everything out of proportion more than anything else. That was a summer where other players were available. Other huge names were available. Kylian Mbappe at 160 million, everybody agreed was a much better purchase to go after. Paul Pogba was available during that summer. There were a lot of world-class players that were available, but they choose to spend the money in the worst possible way. How did they spend it? They spent it after the money had came in. This is a common thing that clubs need to be doing. If you're going to be selling these big name players, you need to go into the negotiating table early on with those clubs. If they had approached Dortmund and Liverpool pre the Neymar deal, Coutinho and Dembele together might have been 140, 135 mil. Much better price. You could have also gone out and bought a Virgil van Dijk, which went for 70 that year. I bet he wouldn't have been that expensive pre-Neymar. All of these people were available, and Barcelona decided to waste all of that money. Emphasis on the word waste. No matter how good Coutinho was, 150 million, you need to be generational above generational talent to require that much money. 150 million, it needs to be a Neymar level player that you're getting. Everybody in the world knew, yes, Coutinho was one of the 5 best players in the league. He wasn't Neymar. Dembele, amazing talent. He looked great at Dortmund. But we all knew about his injury record. Everybody knew how he's made of glass. The lack of management and the absolute waste that Bartomeu brought on Barcelona, I don't think he will ever be forgiven, and this will always be remembered. Barcelona are currently €1 billion in debt. That is not going to go away anytime soon. Are they going to make the Champions League? Do they have the revenue to be able to make this money back? How much of a genius is Laporta? I think Laporta coming back is the only saving grace for Barcelona at the moment, and I think he's the only one that has a chance of rectifying this situation. However, it's going to be insanely difficult. The level that they have reached, that they have zero incomes coming from other sources. Think of a club like Chelsea. Chelsea, with their academy system and constantly sending players out to different areas of the world, have been able to manufacture a constant revenue stream to the point where last season, I'm gonna honestly just Google this. Chelsea sold about 8 players from their academy to the tune of about 100K, 100 million over this year. Players like Tamori were sold. Bakayoko was sold. Malang Sarr, Zappacosta, Victor Moses. They were able to pick up a bunch of sales, the amount of money that they were able to bring in because Marina Granascovia is an absolute genius, is absolutely ridiculous. Who did they buy? They bought Lukaku and they loaned Saul Niguez. Who did they sell? Tammy Abraham, 35. Kurt Zuma, 30. Tamori, 24. Mark Guehi, 18. Zappacosta, 8.5. There's a bunch of these small signings that just add up over time. Bunch of loan deals constantly going out. We are already seeing the benefits of it by having this amazing academy system. You have players like Billy Gilmore in Norwich. Everybody knows who Billy Gilmore is. You have a player like Conor Gallagher in Crystal Palace absolutely tearing it up. Which just shows you, even if these players are not good enough for the first team, next year, both those players are minimum. Gallagher's potentially a 35 to 40, maybe a 50 million pound player at this moment. Billy Gilmore, minimum 30, 40. They're constantly making revenues. They're constantly making money, and they're being intelligent with their purchases. That's how you manage a club at a high level. You can't do this waste of money to the point where you're $1 billion in debt. Antoine Griezmann, 120 million for a 28-year-old is always a mistake. It has never worked to spend high money on older players. On the flip side, I made a video about this earlier this season about good signings versus bad signings, and I talked about the Joao Felix deal versus the Antoine Griezmann deal. The level that the only point where Antoine Griezmann at 128 million is a good deal is if he guarantees you the Champions League. And based off the fact that no player in the world can guarantee you the Champions League, you shouldn't do that deal. Whereas 128 million can be spent so well anywhere else. 128 million, you could have gone and got Haaland. You could have gone and gotten Phil Foden out of City maybe. There were options and ways to spend that money, and they could have gone and got Joao Felix. I think Joao Felix would have been fantastic at Barcelona. Keep Griezmann at Atleti, go for Joao Felix. Much better deal. I'm going to most likely do Juventus in the second part because this video is already at 14 minutes. But more than anything else, my analysis about this is Barcelona. The Xavi era has begun, and Xavi started with a 3-3, a 1-0 win, another draw, a 3-1 win against Villarreal, a loss to Betis, and a loss to Barcelona. 2 draws, 2 wins, 2 losses. Not great, but can't really blame Xavi. It's going to take him time to really figure out what he wants to do with the club and who his best 11 is. That's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be overnight. The struggle that Barcelona has is how they can turn the squad around. Do they have enough sellable assets? A couple. But would you not rather keep a Frankie de Jong and build around him? what is the willingness of the club to invest more money to get out of this problem? Because that may be the only thing they can do, is they need to spend more. The question is, where is this money coming from? There's not much left at the moment. Some sponsorship deals need to come in for Barcelona, and they need to come in fast because they need to be saved. It could get worse. It could get a lot worse for Barcelona. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me what I'm right about, what I'm wrong about, but I don't think there's much disagreement here. As far as the way to fix this, is Xavi the right man? I honestly don't think so. I think you needed somebody like an Erik ten Hag. Maybe Guardiola could come back, offer him the sky, offer him everything, name the stadium after him, beg him to come back. Maybe that could save Barcelona. But outside of something crazy like that, I don't think it's currently being saved anytime soon, and I don't think Barcelona are going to go anywhere anytime soon. We'll see if I'm wrong. We'll see if I'm right. Part 2 will be with you guys most likely next week. It might be on Saturday. There's a fly around me right now. It's great. But more than anything else, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Sean Adelli, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.